The atmosphere in the town hall was tense. Every face wore an expression of anger. Eyes burned with a desire for revenge. Then, in that tension-filled environment, a girl's scream echoed. The girl was thrown onto the floor at Shawn's feet. "Here is the girl for the settlement. Now my son's punishment should end." A voice filled with hatred echoed. The girl who had fallen to the ground felt her head spin violently. She was shaking her head in denial, sobbing. Hiding her face in a large shawl, she cried, "Betrayal. Such a massive betrayal." Today, she had lost faith in the very last relationship she trusted. Shawn's guards grabbed her by the arms and hauled her to her feet. There was still disbelief in her hazel green eyes. How could anyone stoop so low? "Summon the preacher," the town mayor announced. She thrashed in the guard's grip like a fish out of water. "Let me go. I am nothing to them. This person, he is not my brother. So why should I take this punishment on my head because of him?" She screamed, trying to free herself, but once again, a guard grabbed her arm and threw her down at his master's feet. As soon as he arrived, she fell straight to his feet. She had never faced such humiliation in her life. She was a spectacle for these people, just a show. The preacher had arrived. Before the guard could step forward to grab her again, the man's serious voice echoed through the entire hall. "How dare you touch her!" In the next instant, his fist connected with the guard's face, making everyone in the room cover their mouths in shock. "And who told you to touch her? Is this our tradition?" He grabbed the guard by the collar and hauled him up. "That's enough, Shawn," Mayor Allen said. Upon hearing his voice, Shawn shoved the guard away with a jerk. "Get out. Get the hell out of here. There is no job for you here anymore." He was in a rage. The guard bowed his head silently and turned away. She lifted her face to look at him for the first time. He was 25 or 26 years old, the owner of glass-like green eyes, with a handsome and serious face. Sharp features, 6 feet tall, a ruddy complexion, broad chest, and a strong build. Whoever he was incredibly handsome. She had seen many men in her life, but she had never seen such a handsome man before today. Dressed in a black suit with his coat draped over his shoulders, he looked imposing. She quickly placed both hands on the ground and stood up. She thought maybe he would have mercy on her. He had just fired a guard because of her. "It's not my fault. I am telling the truth. This man is nothing to me. Do not give me his punishment. These people brought me here by deception. Please let me go. I beg you with folded hands." She clasped her hands together. He was looking at her seriously. Only her eyes were visible. There was something in those eyes. Some truth, some helplessness, some pain. But Shawn's heart had turned to stone in that moment. "Preacher, start the wedding." Upon the mayor's voice, her tiny heart felt like it shattered into pieces. She looked helplessly at the person she had hoped would let her go. But he turned calmly and sat on a chair. It was as if the life drained from the innocent girl's legs. She collapsed right there on the ground. Her eyes turned to stone. The eyes that held heaps of dreams yesterday were crying today. She lifted her gaze to look at the man who was being held by 2 guards. There was such pain in the girl's eyes that he looked away. The preacher was taking her consent for the marriage. "Rebecca Miller, daughter of Adam Miller, you are being wed to Shawn Alexander Shaw. Do you accept? I beg you in front of everyone. Save my son's life." A mother's plea echoed from somewhere far away in her ears. It was as if every emotion in her being died. "I accept." Her lips fluttered. She answered 3 times. Shawn accepted as well. She began to have trouble breathing. Suddenly she felt suffocated. She started rubbing her chest badly. The shawl slipped from her face. Everyone was watching her struggle. Shawn realized something was wrong. He got up and came to her. "What is wrong with her?" he asked Fred angrily, who was being held by guards. Fred was freeing himself from the guard. He signaled the guards and they let him go. He rushed to Rebecca. "Becky, Becky." He sat on the ground beside her. He tapped her cheek. "Where is her inhaler?" he screamed, looking at his father. In the next few seconds, he was pressing her inhaler to her mouth. Rebecca tried to take deep breaths. It took 5 minutes for her breathing to normalize. "She has asthma." Upon Fred's words, Shawn looked with utter disbelief at the girl who seemed less than 18 years old. If she doesn't have an inhaler, she can't breathe. If she doesn't get medicine on time, her life could be in danger, he was telling Shawn. Rebecca wasn't listening to him. She clutched the inhaler in her fist. She moved away from Fred. I am nothing to you. If you try to touch me in the future, it will be very bad for you, she exploded with suppressed anger. Shawn kept looking at her face. Shawn's gaze fell on her face now. Her beautiful hazel green eyes, the moisture glistening in them. Her white, flawless, cream-like face, the traces of sweet tears on it. Her beautiful features, a round face. She was a slender, beautiful young woman, so beautiful that if any man saw her once, he would definitely wish to see her again. She looked merely 17 or 18 by age. Fred stepped back in shame. She stood up from the ground. She took one look at Adam Miller, whose face showed no trace of shame. Congratulations, your son's life has been spared. But I want to say something to you one last time. She spoke without caring about all the people present. Damn you for being the father of such filthy and deceitful children. She spoke so loudly that everyone's hands went to their lips. She hadn't just spoken words. She had spewed poison that went straight to that father's hearing. He got so angry there was no limit. Adam Miller's hand raised, but before that slap could land on Rebecca's face, someone caught his hand in midair. It was Shawn Shaw. How dare you raise a hand against her? He spoke so sternly that everyone watched the spectacle in shock. Until yesterday, she was your daughter. From today, she is my wife, my honor. You have lost the right to raise a hand against her. From today, she has no relationship with you. Take your son and get out of here. He didn't just speak, he roared. Fred looked at his father silently and walked out. The father also satisfied himself and turned away. She stood there watching the two of them leave with tear-filled eyes. The show was over. Everyone slowly started going to their homes. But she, with wet eyes, kept looking at the path from where the father and son had disappeared. Let's go. We have to go to the ranch. And forget them. You have no relationship with them now. At his voice, Rebecca's focus broke. Speaking in a cold tone, he held her hand and moved toward the car. She was being dragged along with him like a puppet. He seated her in the car and went to the driving seat. He started the car, and the car headed toward Shaw Ranch. She sat there like a lifeless doll. Even her tears had dried up now. 5 minutes later, the car stopped at the ranch. He got out of the car, but she remained seated just like that, lifeless. He walked around to her seat, opened the car door, held her hand and took her out of the car. She offered no resistance. She entered the ranch with him. Natalie was pacing there like a wounded snake, perhaps waiting for him. As soon as she saw Shawn, she lunged toward him. She also saw Rebecca standing behind him and surely knew the decision made in the hall. He was looking at the maid. "Leave her in my room," he ordered. But Natalie was possessed by the ghost of revenge. "How can you just leave her? Hand her over to me. I will tear the life out of her. Just like her brother killed my daughter," she screamed. "Mom!" Shawn signaled for her to stay calm, but she reached Rebecca and pulled her in front of herself. Before Shawn could stop her, her hand had raised. Smack! A slap adorned the innocent girl's cheek. She felt as if her cheek was burning. Tears flowed from her eyes, soaking her cheeks. Shawn quickly grabbed her arm, pulled her away from his mother, put her behind him. "How can you raise a hand against her now, Mom?" He was looking at his mother with utter disbelief. "You will turn against me because of this girl? This 2-bit girl ate my daughter. Those people. I will kill her." Natalie was struggling, wanting to strangle Rebecca to death. "Mom, you will not touch her in the future. She is now my wife. She has no connection to those people anymore. Now she is associated with my name. You will not raise a hand against her again. Only I have the right to punish her. What punishment she gets, I will decide. And my punishment will be more terrible than your slap." When he spoke, his tone was cold. Natalie, who was in disbelief at his first words, calmed down at the next statement. "Go, leave her in the room." He looked at the maid and ordered again. When he let go of Rebecca's arm, she quietly started walking with the maid. Shawn's mobile started ringing, so he went into his study room. After he left, Natalie looked at the maids. Warning. If anyone gives this girl even a glass of water, I will kill you all. Her food and water are cut off. Let her starve to death. Announcing the strict order, she went into her room and locked it. The maid had left her and gone. She was looking at the huge room with empty eyes. Pictures of Shawn were on one wall of the room, sometimes dressed in a three-piece suit, sometimes in a t-shirt. Perhaps they were from university, and some from working in an office. Maybe he was a businessman. She walked silently to the bed. Then she sat there like a lifeless doll. She knew she would be tortured here in every way. He was sitting in the study room with his laptop open, trying to search for something. He held the mobile to his ear with one hand. You said she was an orphan. There was suppressed anger in his tone. Sir, my information was correct. I checked her entire history myself. She was very small when she was born. Her mother died. No knowledge of the father. Who left her at the orphanage is also unknown. She has been living there for so many years. The owner of the orphanage loved her like her own daughter. That's why she sent her to college to study, and she lived in the orphanage. If anyone found out, girls might mock her and cause her pain. That's why she was sent to the hostel. Shawn's head was about to explode. If your information is correct, you will get double the money. But if even one thing is wrong, I swear to God, I will take your life with my own hands. Saying this angrily, he hung up the phone. His head was bursting with pain. Those hazel green eyes were appearing before his eyes repeatedly. He closed his eyes, leaned back in the chair, and drifted into the past. It was a day about 2 months ago. That day, he was going to the office as usual when his car broke down on the way. It had rained during the night. Because of this, there was still water on the road in places. He was standing by the car calling a mechanic. Suddenly his gaze lifted, and then, seeing the scene in front of him, his gaze forgot to turn away. Wearing a white and black uniform, she was crossing the road smiling. A sweet smile on her face, a book kept on her head as if trying to save herself from rain splashes. That beautiful and innocent face. She was probably a high school student. Shawn kept looking at her, until she entered the college gate in front. A strange smile came onto his face. It wasn't that he hadn't seen a girl before, but no girl had that kind of attraction like this girl did. His heart wanted to go into the college and get information about her. But then, cursing his own thought, he booked a cab and went to the office. This was Shawn's first meeting with Rebecca, in which no words were spoken, no eyes met, yet somewhere inside the chest, the beating heart, a lump of flesh, became a heart. He saw Rebecca for the second time in a shopping mall. She was with a woman. "Mom, look, this is pretty." She appeared to be choosing a dress. He, who had come for some work, forgot everything and kept looking at her. There was a smile on her face, as if she was a girl who smiled all the time. "Becky, come on, it's been a long time. Let's go back," the woman's voice echoed in his ear. "Becky," he murmured under his breath. A smile spread to Shawn's ears. Then, thinking something, he grabbed his mobile. He had now taken a picture of Rebecca. He wanted to get all the information about her. He knew which college she went to. Now he had her name and photo too. He sent those pictures to his PA. "I want all the information on this girl as soon as possible." And just 2 weeks later, he received all of Rebecca's information. "Sir, she lives in an orphanage. It is unknown who she is, whose child she is, who knows if she is legitimate or not. I will gather more information and update you again." Expressions of anger appeared on Shawn's face. His heart wanted to split his PA's head open, but he controlled himself. The comment about legitimate or illegitimate set him on fire. After that, he was going to the town for a few days. So he thought it appropriate to get Rebecca out of his mind. But the news he received before going to the town shook his entire being. His young sister had been murdered by someone. Her body came to the ranch. She had gone to her friend's house. The people at the ranch didn't even know she would return dead like this. She had been strangled to death. Some people in the town had seen her arguing with Fred near the fields. Fred was the son of the neighboring town's mayor. He wanted to marry Shawn's sister, Rita. But Rita didn't want to marry yet. She had dreams. She wanted to become something. Fred wanted her to bring a proposal, but Rita wasn't agreeing to bring a proposal yet. Perhaps both liked each other. Fred got angry at this point and, in rage, strangled Rita to death. Fred was caught. He confessed to his crime himself. He looked ashamed. The decision was set to happen in the hall. Shawn was the only grandson of his grandfather, Alan Shaw. His only sister had been taken from him. How much pain was hidden inside him, no one knew. He was very small when his father passed away. At that time, his grandfather wasn't even 1 year old, in the role of father figure to him. Shawn had raised her like a father. He loved her very much. At one point, he was ready. He wanted revenge, at any cost. But how could Adam Miller watch his young son be executed? That's why he saved his son, by paying compensation. When Rebecca was brought into his life, it was as if the sky fell on Shawn's head. But for the time being, he did what seemed right. He was trying to endure the pain rising in his head with closed eyes. He couldn't understand. If she is an orphan, if she has no parents, then why is she here? What trick did Adam Miller play with her? His heart, which had fallen for Becky at first sight. Even though he wanted to, he couldn't bring himself to give this girl any punishment. He had even thought of marrying her a few days ago. But today she had become his wife. Still, he was restless. Something was wrong. He got up from there and now lay down on the couch. He just wanted to sleep right now. Night had fallen outside on the ranch. He probably hadn't even had breakfast since morning, but his body was starting to heat up. He had a fever. Then, when he fell asleep while lying there, he didn't realize. It was some time in the night. Thunder was rumbling continuously outside. The sound woke her up. She was looking around in surprise. She was still in Shawn's room. When she fell asleep sitting there, leaning back, she didn't realize. Now that her sleep was gone, she felt severe pain in her stomach. The inhaler was still clutched in her fist. She placed it on the bedside table and got up. She wrapped the shawl tightly around her shoulders and started looking around the room. She was extremely thirsty, and hunger had put her in a bad state. He was nowhere in the room. She hesitantly came out of the room herself because there was no water in the room. Fearfully, she went down the stairs and saw Natalie coming out of the kitchen with a jug of water. Seeing Rebecca, shadows of hatred spread across her face. "What is the problem? What did you come to take?" The maid also came out of the kitchen right behind her. Water." She couldn't speak. That woman had such an imposing presence. "You people ate my daughter. Now you want water too? Every single drop in this house is forbidden to you. Die of thirst for all I care. It makes no difference to me." She was still speaking with hatred. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. "Auntie, I am innocent. I am not that girl." She wanted to give an explanation, but the listeners on the other side had no interest. "I am not your auntie. Don't try to address me after today." She roared even louder than before. Rebecca couldn't stand it anymore. She hadn't eaten anything since morning. On top of that, due to weakness, she started feeling dizzy. Her heart started palpitating and she began having trouble breathing. She sat on her knees right there on the ground and started thrashing. Due to tension, she started having difficulty breathing. Natalie was watching her writhe. "What happened? Are you in pain?" she asked in a very cold tone. She barely gathered the courage to speak. "Inhaler. Please bring my inhaler. I will die." When she spoke, tears started flowing from her eyes. "Go check upstairs in the room and bring the inhaler." Her eyes ordered the maid. She ran and came back down just 2 minutes later. But at Natalie's signal, she stopped right there. "Throw this inhaler in the trash. Let her die suffocating just like my daughter died. She must have thrashed like this before dying too, right? Now you thrash like this too." She stepped back as if pouring poison into her ears. "Let her writhe like this. If you give her the inhaler, I will stop your breathing." She was announcing the order. The maid nodded silently at this. "Where is Shawn?" She stopped while going to her room. "Sir is sleeping in the study." At the maid's words, she looked toward the study room, which had dim lights on. She went into her room. Rebecca stood rubbing her chest like a fish out of water. "Please give this to me. For God's sake," she begged the maid. But the maid stood silently. There was sympathy in her eyes, but her feet were stone, as if she was loyal to her mistress. It felt like she would die. But no, if she died, how would she prove her innocence? She quickly got up from the ground, gathered so much courage in herself with great difficulty. The maid was watching all her actions silently. With stumbling steps, she ran toward the study room, opened the door with great difficulty. With a thud sound, Shawn, who was in a deep sleep, had his sleep broken, but he couldn't open his eyes now. She took one look at Shawn sleeping there. For some reason, she was sure he wouldn't let her die. If he had treated anyone well all day today, it was only this person. She came close to him, sat right there on the floor, quickly shook Shawn's arm until Shawn's sleep broke. He looked around in surprise, trying to understand everything. "Are you okay? What happened?" His face was turning red with fever. The headache was still the same. I can't breathe. I will die." Finding his attention, she began to plead. It was as if he suddenly returned to his senses, quickly getting up, managing his headache. She was thrashing. "Becky, what happened? Are you okay?" He immediately took her face in his hands and spoke. Between stuck breaths, she explained the half-finished story that her inhaler was with the maid and she wasn't giving it. Shawn's glass-like green eyes began to spill redness. The headache, anger, frustration, fever, and on top of that, Rebecca's condition fanned the flames of his savagery. In the next moment, the walls and doors of the ranch trembled. "Bilquis! Bilquis!" He wasn't calling the maid. He screamed. The maid ran in quickly. "Yes, sir." She trembled. He got up from the ground, came to the maid, snatched the inhaler from her hand without saying anything, and ran back to Rebecca. Now he was applying the inhaler to her mouth. Her body was still trembling. She was exhausted from crying. How many minutes it took for her breath to restore. He looked at the maid once again. What revenge, what murder, he forgot it all. All he remembered was that she was his wife, and right now she was writhing in his ranch. He never expected such treatment. "What are you standing there looking at? Bring water," he roared. Sir, madam," she wanted to say something. "I said bring water. Get out of here." He didn't look like a normal human at all in that moment. The maid quickly ran toward the kitchen. She sat exhausted on the floor, resting her head against the sofa. Her body seemed lifeless, but tears kept flowing from her eyes. He got close to her. "Becky?" he called out with extreme gentleness and love. Where was she used to such gentleness and love? She started crying uncontrollably, that too in a loud voice. Shawn got close to her and then, without saying anything, pulled her to him. Rebecca didn't even seem to feel it. She was busy crying. Taking Rebecca in his arms, he made her feel safe. When he patted her hair, she clung to his chest and cried loudly. For the first time, a man had handled her so gently. Otherwise, this didn't seem like the person whose sister had been killed. What revenge, what pain, what kind of torture to give. He forgot it all because seeing her in agony just moments ago, his heart had stopped beating. After that, every thought of causing pain ended. Just, everything is okay, nothing happened. He was just comforting her. Meanwhile, the maid brought water, so Shawn held the glass of water and put it to Rebecca's mouth. When the water went down her throat, Rebecca finally found some relief. "Did you eat anything?" he was asking gently. Rebecca's entire being began to sob now. What would she say? There was no answer, and perhaps no answer was needed. He knew the answer. "Go quickly and bring heated food." The maid hurriedly ran toward the kitchen. He got up from the floor, helped her up, and seated her on the sofa. She was still crying. Shawn's heart was burning. Is this what love is like? He could only think. I am not Adam Miller's real daughter. Those people brought me here by deception so they could save their son's life." Words were like molten lead that someone poured into Shawn's being. He sat down right next to her. "Who are you? I want to know everything." He was quite serious. "I grew up in an orphanage. My mother died. Who was she? I don't know. Who left me there? I don't know either. I started living there. The owner of the orphanage is very nice. She loves me like her own daughters. So I started calling her Mom. I don't know what mothers are like. To me, she is a mother. That's why she was special to me. Adam Miller's real daughter's name was Rachel. Her family also calls her Becky with love. He kept listening to her with utter disbelief. She bowed her head, wiping her tears repeatedly. My first meeting with Rachel was on the first day of college. Her friend was calling her Becky. Everyone called me Becky with love too, so we sat together. We talked, and slowly our friendship grew. I told her the whole truth about my life, that I lived in an orphanage and stay in a hostel. Nothing she said gave any suspicion that she would deceive me. She told me she is the town mayor's daughter. From her stories, I also got curious to see the town. Often on weekends, taking permission from Mom, instead of going to the orphanage, I would go to their ranch with her. Her mother loved me just like a daughter. Fred's brother treated me like a sister. Her father called me daughter when he found out like that I lived in an orphanage. They all treated me like a family. I didn't know they would deceive me like this, would use me for their benefit. Rachel told me that a sin was committed by her brother, and I should go there and talk to you people in the hall to forgive her brother. Rachel also said if she went somewhere, those people would take her as compensation, and she is not interested in marrying you. She probably liked someone else. I came with her father. Her mother folded her hands and said, "Save my son." I was sad that I have no family, but I couldn't watch another family be broken either. I came. But what her father did after that was in front of you. What is my fault that I befriended Rachel? Tell me, am I guilty? If you also feel that I should get the punishment for all of them, then you can give me any punishment. I will accept it. But will your sister come back with that? Shawn Shaw felt as if helpless tears were flowing from his eyes. He was crying. Yes, he cried for the first time at a girl's pain. Without saying anything, he pulled Rebecca to him. At first, she was extremely surprised. Then, trying to hide in his chest, she started crying even faster. My mom must be worried about me. She doesn't know what happened to me, that being an orphan becomes such a big crime. Do we orphans have no life? Are orphans just pawns to save others' lives? She was barely able to speak between sobs. Shawn was patting her head. Enough, never say that. You are not an orphan now. I am with you. Your guardian is still alive. You are my wife. Now you won't be an orphan, won't be helpless. And why that man did this, he will have to answer for it. I will kill every single one of them in agony. After what they did to my sister, and the second sin they committed, now I won't spare them. He spoke every single word so sternly that Rebecca kept looking at him with immense surprise. You believe me? She asked with utter helplessness. Yes, because I know these eyes aren't lying. He was telling her gently. She impulsively rested her head on his chest again while crying. Shawn slowly but gently touched her hair with his lips, then her forehead. There was only respect in that touch, which soaked Rebecca's eyes again. Everything is okay. Now you don't need to cry. I will stand every single one of them in the square and beat them. He was still telling her sternly. I don't think Fred's brother killed your sister. Shawn looked at her with immense surprise and disbelief. How can you say that with such certainty? He was surprised that Rebecca was just telling the truth about those people. Then how could she take their side so quickly? Because Fred's brother loved her. He told me himself that if he marries, it will only be Rita. He had even talked to his mother. But as soon as his mother found out she lives in this town and is the daughter of the Shaw family, she refused flatly. Don't mention it to your father, or doomsday will come in the house. But Fred's brother wasn't ready to back down. He said, I won't beg for love, I will marry, only her. He loved her very much. The person who loves cannot take a life. I have seen pain in Fred's brother's eyes, and the pain is not of killing Rita, but of not being able to save her life. Shawn felt like a train was rushing through his head. Then why did he say that? He killed my sister because he confessed his crime himself. Rebecca was just looking at him, but it was as if her brain was working very fast. That girl was quite intelligent. Shawn was realizing this now. Maybe he knows who committed the murder and is trying to defend the killer. Someone who is very close to his life. I don't know. But my heart says Fred's brother didn't kill your sister. Those who love can never give pain to their love. And Shawn seemed to get stuck on her words. You are saying it right. Those who love don't have the courage to kill. He had also fallen in love with Rebecca somewhere. If it wasn't love, would she be sitting so close to him right now? Yes, you are right. Indeed, the one whom one loves, one cannot give them pain. Just like I cannot give you pain. And Rebecca looked at him with wide eyes. Love? She murmured under her breath with immense surprise. Yes, love, I love you very much. I saw you crossing the road for the first time. I liked you at precisely that first sight. That's why I was very surprised to see you here in town. But don't you worry, every human will have to answer. If Fred is innocent, I will give him no punishment. This is my promise to you, he said, gently tapping her cheek. For the first time, Rebecca felt as if she wasn't alone in this crowded world. Someone was hers too. Do you really love me that much, that you can't see me in pain? She was asking with wide eyes. I don't know, Becky, if any theory like love at first sight exists or not. But I fell in love with you in just 2 meetings. Immense love. I didn't know who you are. What is your name? Where do you live? Just saw you, and the heart said, if I ever marry, I will marry her. I didn't know our marriage would happen in these circumstances, and those people would make you compensation to save their daughter. If someone else had been in your place here, she might have died by my hands by now. But it is only you who has the right to sit by my side, so close to me, because even if I wanted to, I cannot give you any pain. During their conversation, the maid had placed the food. I know that in the circumstances your marriage took place, you probably hadn't even thought of it this soon, at this age. But I want to spend my whole life with you. I want to see you always as my wife. Will you always stay with me? He was asking very hopefully, holding her hand, while Rebecca was looking at him with immense surprise. You won't take revenge on me? She was extremely in disbelief. Shawn shook his head in denial. When it's not your fault, why would I take revenge on you? Tell me, will you stay with me? Will you love me like I do you? When he cupped her face in his hands, tears started coming out of Rebecca's eyes. When had she ever seen the face of love? But my studies? She immediately became worried about her studies. No problem. You study. I will help you complete your studies. But you didn't answer my question. He seemed to be getting restless. Rebecca took his hand in hers. He felt Rebecca's hands trembling. So Shawn caressed both her hands in his soft hands. I don't know what love is like. But if you love me, then I value your love. You will stay with me like this all my life. The one who worries about me, the one who writhes at my pain, then I will stay with you all my life. You are my husband, so I will love only you, because this is your right. She had agreed. Yes, indeed, anyone would agree for such a person. She would be crazy to refuse to accept a man like him. Shawn felt as if someone had read him a warrant for a new life. Impulsively, he pulled her close and hugged her to his chest. Now Rebecca's body seemed to relax. She felt Shawn had a fever, but now the effect of the fever was lessening. Thank you so much for coming into my life. I promise you, I will fix everything. He gently placed his lips on Rebecca's forehead and wiped the tears coming from her eyes. Then he got up from there and brought the food to her, fed her with his own hands. Suddenly Rebecca remembered something. I want to meet my mom once. Please let me meet her, she said with great trust, as if she hoped he wouldn't say no. Okay, we will go in the morning. He kept feeding her with his hands. She ate silently. After eating, he gave her water. Then holding her hand, he got up. Let's go to the room. You aren't feeling well. Rest. That's why he climbed the stairs. Behind them, Natalie stood in the door of her room, staring at their backs. Who knows what was in this girl that her son had knelt before her? Now shaking her head, she went into the room. After entering the room, he laid Rebecca on the bed. He was putting a blanket over her. She lay back silently and closed her eyes. He moved to the other side of the bed, sitting beside her, and began threading his fingers gently through her hair. Soothed by his touch, she drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep. The next morning dawned over the ranch. As soon as the sun rose, Shawn told his mother everything. Natalie was in deep shock. Adam Miller had committed such a massive betrayal. She was astounded. She felt anger, but more than that, she felt ashamed when facing Rebecca. At the breakfast table that morning, she clasped her hands together and begged Rebecca for forgiveness. Rebecca immediately took her hands in hers. "Please don't do this, Auntie. Your daughter was taken from you. If any mother were in your place, she would have reacted the same way." She was so gracious. Shawn felt a surge of pride in his choice. "Don't call me Auntie. Call me Mom," she said, feigning sternness. Rebecca looked at her helplessly. "Sorry, I will be careful next time," she managed to say. Natalie smiled. "Not Auntie. From today you will call me Mom, just like Shawn does." Rebecca looked at her in surprise, her stuck breath released. "Yes, okay, Mom." As she completed her sentence haltingly, Natalie laughed. "Is this the girl you chose?" she asked Shawn, remembering he had mentioned liking a girl. Shawn nodded. "I like your choice very much. From today, she isn't my daughter-in-law, but my second daughter." Her words made it seem like she was truly ashamed of her behavior the previous night. Rebecca looked at Shawn with tear-filled eyes. If a husband knows how to command respect for his wife, no one in the in-laws dares to think of hurting her. After breakfast, he took her to the city. First, they went to the orphanage. It was the same woman Shawn had seen her with at the shopping mall. She hugged her mother figure and cried. Shawn told her the whole truth. Rebecca got up to go to her room to get her things. That was when the orphanage matron decided to tell Shawn the truth. "I am happy that you love Rebecca, but perhaps you won't be able to handle the truth about her." Shadows of confusion appeared on Shawn's face. "What reality could you possibly tell me?" He wanted to know the truth. He didn't want to find out anything about Rebecca later on. "Rebecca is actually Adam Miller's daughter, from his second wife." The words were like molten lead poured into Shawn's existence. "What?" It was a shock to him. Yes. 18 years ago, at the office where he worked, Rebecca's mother was an employee. She fell in love with Adam. But Adam couldn't marry her because he was already married. But Kendra became so crazy in love that she started begging Adam for love. And Adam, being a lustful man, would lose his intentions over every other woman. He secretly married Kendra. He enjoyed a few days, then vanished from her life as if he had never existed. Kendra was pregnant, and when she found out, she tried to contact Adam. But there was no contact. She deeply regretted the secret marriage. She didn't even have a marriage certificate. How long could she hide her condition from her family? One day, they found out Kendra was going to be a mother. Her parents cut all ties and threw her out of the house. I found her on the street. I brought her here. She told me her life story. I tried to contact Adam. He came to meet Kendra, but he left after crying his own tears, saying his father wouldn't accept Kendra, that she didn't belong to their class or status. He couldn't give the child a name. He couldn't take her to his ranch in that condition because his first wife was also pregnant. Kendra realized that he just wanted to pass time with her. And he did. She fell at Adam's feet begging him not to leave, but he left. Kendra cried all the time. I tried to take care of her in every way. But perhaps God had other plans. She made me promise to take care of her child. Maybe she knew she wouldn't survive. After Rebecca's birth, she passed away. I loved Rebecca like a daughter. Who is Adam Miller? I had forgotten. But he came a few months ago to find out about this child. I didn't know why he wanted to know about his child now. When he started begging me, I told him Rebecca was his daughter. I didn't know he came to know the truth just to use Rebecca, because she is a carbon copy of Kendra. Perhaps seeing her, Adam Miller understood she was his daughter. I didn't know the friend Rebecca visited was Adam Miller's other daughter. My child is very innocent, Shawn. She has been paying the price for being Adam Miller's daughter for so many years. She lived in this orphanage. Despite having a father, she lived the life of an orphan. Please don't punish her now. Shawn's eyes were wet. His heart writhed in pain. Rebecca had been through so much. What was that innocent girl's fault? Before he could say anything, at the sound of a click, they both looked back. Rebecca was resting her head against the doorframe, her face pale white, looking at them. The expression on her face said she had heard everything. He quickly got up from the chair. He came to Rebecca. Before she could stumble and fall, he held her and pulled her close. "Becky," he whispered softly. She, who had been holding it in for so long, burst out crying. "No, this can't be. I am not that monster's daughter. And Rachel, she isn't my sister. She is a traitor. It's not— Mom, tell me it was just a sick joke. I am no one's daughter. I am just an orphan. I have no father." This was the most terrifying truth of her life. Her mother figure was crying, apologizing for hiding the truth. He was stroking her head. "Nothing has happened, Becky. Everything is fine. That man is nothing to you. Look at me. I am your husband. I am your own, your confidant, and your guardian. Only me." She looked at Shawn with moist eyes. "But it is true that I am that man's daughter. It means I came as a settlement, all of that." She was on the verge of going mad. She felt as if her head would explode. "Stop, stop. None of it is true. When that man didn't even give you his name, it isn't your right to bear the punishment for his son. He remembered a daughter for his own benefit. Where was he when his daughter was living like an orphan in an orphanage?" Her breathing became ragged. She couldn't breathe in the room. The matron quickly ran to her room to get her spare inhaler. 2 minutes later, she got the medicine, and her breathing steadied. "It's okay. I am telling you, this truth makes no difference to me. I loved you. It doesn't matter to me who your father is. You are mine. Only mine." He was consoling her. "Shawn, you won't ever leave me, right?" she asked, driven by some unknown fear. "Never, my love." Taking her firmly in his embrace, he kissed her forehead. "But if you stop loving me, I will die." Shawn laughed with moist eyes. "Never. You are Shawn's life." At his answer, Rebecca calmed down somewhat. She was hiding in his chest now, as if he were her last refuge. The matron was relieved seeing their love. She wasn't Kendra, whom her husband would leave, nor was he Adam, for whom love was just a joke. He was Shawn Shaw. Without Rebecca, perhaps he couldn't even breathe now. The car screeched to a halt at the Miller Ranch. Behind it were his many guards. He entered with Rebecca. No guard dared to stop him. First, they saw Fred and his mother in the lounge. "Becky?" He moved toward her in surprise. Seeing her, a relieved smile spread across his face. Rebecca raised her eyes and looked at him. Until today, she considered him her brother. But today, she was looking at him with a sister's eyes. Despite being such a good brother, she lived in an orphanage. He came close and placed a hand on her face. "You're okay, right?" There was only love in his tone, concern for a sister. "You knew from the start, didn't you, that I—" She left her sentence incomplete, weeping. Fred lowered his head like a criminal, and Rebecca got her answer. "Why did you do this?" She grabbed his collar, weeping. Shawn stood silently beside her. Crying, she stepped forward and hugged Fred. Fred stood frozen at first. Then tears spilled from his eyes. "I never had any hope from my father. But with you there, why did I stay there? Is this what brothers are like? Tell me." She was crying loudly. At the commotion, Adam Miller and Rachel came out of their respective rooms. Everyone watched the two of them in shock. "I know it's my fault. Forgive me." He took her in his arms like a child. Today, for the first time, Rebecca felt she wasn't an orphan anymore. She had a brother. "You want forgiveness? Fine. I will forgive you on one condition. Tell me, who killed Rita?" She asked so sternly that Fred's face went pale. But he remained silent. "I know you aren't the killer." She took Fred's hand and placed it on her head. She knew Fred had a good heart. He would never swear falsely on Rebecca. "Swear on me and say that you killed Rita." And Fred's hand trembled. "I know you loved Rita. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't kill her. Tell me, who killed Rita?" But Fred lowered his gaze like a criminal. He had no answer. Shawn, who had been silent until then, stepped forward and grabbed Fred by the collar. "What is she asking? Speak! Who killed my sister?" He roared with such intensity that everyone trembled, but Fred didn't break his silence. His gaze went to Rachel. He stepped forward and punched Adam Miller hard in the face. To save your murderer son, you would pay off any orphan to save both your children. That's what you thought. He screamed so intensely that everyone was terrified. His gaze went to Rachel, who was trying to understand everything with wide eyes, and she was shocked to see Shawn. Just as Shawn had looked at Rebecca, Rachel had seen him on the road one day and fallen in love with him at first sight. But she never knew that Shawn would be the man she fell in love with. She had deceitfully substituted Rebecca as the payment. But now she felt she had made a huge mistake. An idea suddenly came to her mind. She came close to them. I tried very hard to stop Dad, saying I am ready to be the payment to save Fred, brother. But they sold Rebecca by deception. Please let her go, and you can take me as the payment. You're okay, right, Becky? She asked with fake sympathy. Rebecca jerked her hand away. You are right. You should have been the payment. Becky is innocent. Shawn stepped forward and tightly gripped Rachel's wrist. I will marry you too, but Becky will also remain in my marriage, because she is my love. But you will be treated exactly how a payment should be treated. His tone was full of pure hatred and venom. Rachel felt as if someone had slapped her face hard. He loved Rebecca, an unbelievable reality. Let's go home, Becky. Before he could drag Rachel out by force, Fred quickly blocked his path. This cannot happen. You cannot marry Rachel. It is a sin. There was a mocking smile on Shawn's lips. A second marriage isn't a sin. Get out of my way, or I will marry your sister later, but first, I will take revenge for my sister's death. He growled so intensely that Fred had enough. You cannot marry Rachel because Becky is already in your marriage. The smile remained on Shawn's lips. That's not a solid reason. He was still just as calm. Rebecca was silent in all this because Rebecca is also my sister, Dad's daughter, from another woman. The words were like molten lead poured into the mother and daughter's existence. Rachel's hand went to her lips. 2 tears fell from Rebecca's eyes. I found this out only a few weeks ago, that Rebecca is also my sister. And yes, I didn't kill Rita. I loved her very much. Dad killed her. He screamed, crying. Shawn looked at Adam Miller with venomous eyes. His face was turning red. What nonsense are you talking, Fred? He shouted. Enough, Dad. Not today. I am not talking nonsense. I know everything about those filthy eyes you cast on my Rita. Did she not tell me anything? I knew it all but remained silent out of respect for you because at that time I had no relationship with Rita. She was just a stranger to me. I wanted to protect her. That's why I asked to marry her, but she didn't want to marry yet. She wanted to study and become something. Her dreams were high. As soon as he found out that I wanted to marry her, he offered Rita to marry him. He said he'd make her the mayor's wife. But Rita slapped him for such filthy thoughts. You should be ashamed saying such nonsense. I am your son's age, your son's choice. If I marry, it will only be Fred. That slap hit his manhood. That's why he killed her in rage. Fred fell to the ground weeping. I couldn't save her. She was my love. I dreamed of spending my whole life with her. But my own father turned out to be my enemy. Before I could get him punished, he threatened to kill Rebecca. If I didn't take the blame for Rita's death, I lost Rita. I didn't have the strength to lose Rebecca, but he would have killed me there too. By giving Rebecca as payment like a criminal, he killed me a second time. This man. I am ashamed to call such a man my father. The day Rita died, I decided right then, I will destroy this ranch. I will destroy its foundations, because of which they sacrificed Rebecca. I curse this man and such leadership. I am leaving for another country very soon. He was crying like a child. Rebecca sat beside him on her knees. Forgive me, Becky. I love you very much. To me, you and Rachel are equal. Tears were flowing from Rebecca's eyes. Without saying anything, she hugged Fred like a mother. Fred began to cry even louder. Shawn stepped forward and punched Adam Miller 3 or 4 times in the face at once. You despicable human. First, you killed my flower-like sister, then tried to hurt my Becky. Today I will give you a death that will make your very soul tremble. He screamed. At that moment, his guards came in and he threw Adam Miller toward a guard. Take him away. Tomorrow morning, He will be executed in the town square. The decision is made." He stood up and walked toward Rachel, who had turned to stone. He yanked her up by the arm and handed her to a guard as well. "Take her too. I will show her right now what the punishment for being a payment is." She was very keen to become Shawn Shaw's wife. "I will satisfy all her keenness. She betrayed my Becky. She will get punished too." The life drained out of Rachel. "No, please, Shawn, forgive me, please." But the guards took both father and daughter away, and the mother was left crying. Shawn came to Rebecca. "Come on, get up, Becky. We have to go home." Rebecca took one look at Fred. "I have no father, nor did I ever. I was an orphan yesterday. I am an orphan today. But you are my brother. From today, you are my family home. What you did for me, no one can do. I am happy and proud that I am your sister. Brother Fred, always stay in touch with me and don't leave Mom. It's not her fault. I am happy with my husband. Don't worry now." Meeting him one last time, she left with Shawn. The next morning, in the hall in front of the entire town, Shawn riddled Adam Miller with bullets. Rebecca felt no difference at the death of such a man. She didn't know what a father was or what a father is like. Who is called a father? She just knew she had a brother, and that was it. Shawn gave Rachel a fitting punishment for her sin as well. He married her off to a ranch servant so she would learn what pain feels like. Now she lived in a small house. The one who used to rule over servants was now wandering door to door. She met Rebecca once. She came to the ranch for some work. She took one look at herself, one look at Rebecca. Rebecca, who lived in an orphanage, was the mayor's wife today, dressed in expensive clothes, while Rachel, her father's princess, was a maid today. "You threw your punishment into my lap, and God wrote it as my destiny. If you had been the payment yourself, Shawn would be yours. But you betrayed me. I didn't consider you a friend, but a sister, accepted you as a sister from the heart. But what did you do? God's justice is exactly like this. Seeing you today, I don't feel pity for you, nor any sympathy. I don't even get a sisterly feeling from you. I am very happy with my husband. I love him very much because he gives me love." Those were the last words Rebecca said to Rachel. After that, Rachel was never allowed to meet Rebecca again. That was Shawn's order. Fred took his mother and left the ranch, moving to another country forever. He started his own work there. Rebecca and Shawn were happy in their lives. There was hope that somewhere far away, Rita's soul would be at peace now. This world is a cycle of retribution. What you do will come back to you. That is why he who digs a hole for others has to fall in it himself. One should fear God's justice.